lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the PWCC Weekly Hockey Auction Live coverage. Today is Sunday, October the 1st, 2023. My name is Jeremy Lee. As always, thank you to subscribers, viewers, podcast listeners. If you are not yet subscribed to Sports Cards Live or the Hockey Cards Gongshow, please take a moment and do so. And let's bring out our co-host, Mr. Josh Madigan. Welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
Hey, Jeremy. How are you, man?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you, man?
I'm awesome. It's kind of a wild night. We got Connor Bedard playing right now. We have Taylor Swift at another Chiefs game. And we got a PWCC hockey auction. So, hey, what gets better than that?
What gets better than that? Well, we have the hockey auction. I think it's 120 or so items up for bid. We've got about 30 of them to look at tonight. Extended bidding starts in about 28 minutes for everybody to keep that in mind. And we're gonna get to it. We'll get to it. We will get to it. Did you say Taylor Swift a moment ago? Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, she's at the Chiefs Jets game again. Must really have a thing for Travis Kelce.
I saw this pretty funny video today. You know, a wife telling her husband that isn't it cool how Taylor Swift put this Travis Kelce guy on the map all of a sudden. The husband's just like, okay, I can't listen to you right now. But yeah, and I've had enough of that personally. I've seen and heard enough of that. How about you?
Yeah, I don't have the time to follow football like I used to. I actually quit fantasy football this year for the first time in like 20 years, just because I've been so focused on hockey and with our show and everything. And so I don't know. I don't follow it much anyways. I just think it's kind of funny that you're watching a football game and about every 35 seconds they pan to Taylor Swift sitting in the luxury suites there.
Well, it's great for marketing for the NFL and the Chiefs. So good on them. But let's talk about what we like to talk about, which is hockey cards. And let's say hello to Timmy in the house. What's going on, Timmy? Gary, good evening. We are looking forward to this too. And thank you for the 200th episode of Sports Cards Live. Congratulations. I didn't make a big deal out of that yesterday because I made a big deal out of my 3-year anniversary doing content back in April. So I didn't want to, you can only have one birthday a year, really, right? So I didn't make a big deal out of it last night. But thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. Name, what's going on? Good to see you. Eric Smith, welcome to the show. Louie, Jacob Dahl, can't believe hockey season starts this month. We're like a week away. What's the official starting date? Do you know? Is it the 8th or the 9th?
I think the 9th. There might be, is it the Global Series games in Sweden or wherever they are in Europe? Is that when it starts? And then I think in earnest in North America on the 10th.
Okay. Well, here we go. It is literally around the corner for sure. Name says football player. Hasn't Taylor Swift heard of hockey card collectors? Well, we got to find her a very handsome and charismatic hockey player for to get her in. Could you imagine if she was dating a hockey player instead of a football player, though? Like, football doesn't necessarily need the boost in the U.S. that maybe hockey does. So who knows? Maybe that'll be the next on her list. We'll see.
The NHL would screw it up. They wouldn't show her.
Yeah, they wouldn't market their best asset, would they?
No,
not at all. All right, well, let's get to it. We've got 29 cards to get through and chatter throughout. And we're going to start with this one right here. A little vintage action from the 50s. 2 cards from the 50s. Maurice Richard, his 3rd year card, the first year that Parkhurst made kind of full-sized cards. And they're actually a little bit bigger than today's 2.5 by 3.5 inch cards. I don't know the exact dimensions, but I think there may be an eighth of an inch taller and wider or one way. I don't remember exactly, but this particular card is one of my absolute favorite images. Let's just make it bigger so we can get a bit. Like, look at this thing. Like, this is, I don't know, Josh. I love it. I think it's a beautiful image. It's an action shot. It's artistic. It's got the facsimile autograph on it. This is a PSA 3.5 VG plus. And I don't know about you, Josh, but when you get into these lower grades of like 2 to 4 with like the half grades as well, I don't pay nearly as much attention to the grade. Like, I notice it, of course, but I look to the card itself and I say, is this a card that I want to look at? And this one, it's got the extra half grade is often based on the eye appeal of the card. And this card does have good eye appeal as far as the image goes, but it definitely has its drawbacks, or its defects. It's off center, top to bottom, but right to left, it looks to be dead centered, I would say. Top to bottom, certainly off, but I do prefer this centering than if it was off right to left. Then you can see it's got some corner issues. It's got some fading in the corners. It looks to me like this card was maybe held in an album with some of those things that you paste in, and then you tuck the corners into those little sections. Josh, I don't know what you would call those things, but it looks to me like the corners were protected out of just basic the air, the oxygen, sunlight, whatever it may have been, because they're a little bit lighter in the corners. That's what that looks like to me. But other than that, I don't notice any creases, although I can't say there aren't any. It's really, really hard to tell when you're looking at a card in 2-dimension. But this is overall, for the grade, I would say it's pretty nice, but you need to make sure that you're okay with the corner, this bottom right corner here, and even this kind of toning in the border. You can see it's kind of yellowing a little bit, whatever this is here. And then up here, you can see it's a lighter corner than the borders as you go more towards the center of the card, both the top and the bottom. This corner doesn't seem to have that issue. This one maybe just a little bit. So not exactly sure if this is the result of what I was mentioning or not, but I just love this image. The 53 Parkhurst, you've got the Maurice Richard, the Gordie Howe, of course, and then you've got the Jean Beliveau, also the key rookie card from the series. I've never owned a copy of this card, Josh, but I have drooled over copies of this card before, and it's one where I'm eventually going to add a copy to my collection, and I'm just going to wait for the copy that speaks loudest to me, and the timing is right. So I do love the card. Your thoughts on this one, Josh?
Yeah, I think it's super cool. The couple things I normally don't like that I actually like with this card. I'm not a big, huge facsimile auto guy, and I think it's kind of cool the way that they did it with the sort of horizontal or vertical treatment of his facsimile auto there. And then I totally agree with you when you're looking at a card with a lower grade. To me, it's like you got to throw the imperfections out the window. There's going to be a lot of them at a PSA 3.5. It's all about, does a card have good visual appeal? And I agree with you. This card is really, really nice to look at. I was just looking really quickly too. It's kind of interesting. This card, exact card, was just sold on eBay on August 24th for $485 US. So it looks like somebody's flipping it on the PWCC weekly.
$485 on eBay just over a month ago. And this one is right now is sitting at $300 is what the buyer will pay if there's no more bids. So we'll see. I think that's the magic of the PWCC vault. You can buy cards anywhere from anybody pretty much and have them shipped to your PWCC vault, which you can then use to either store them there for protection against the elements, insurance purposes. They're insured in there where you may not have insurance at home on your collection, and the ability to flip right away or later on their platform. It looks like whoever's this is utilizing it for that, and we'll see how they do tonight. We will see. We have a 1954 Topps Ted Lindsay. This is the first year the Topps ever made hockey cards, and it is an iconic design. The Gordie Howe from this series is a Mount Rushmore card. This is Ted Lindsay. He's not Gordie Howe, but still a Hall of Fame winger. Let's take a look at this one. And one of the best cards in this set, really, because they only made cards of Detroit, Boston, Chicago and the Rangers, right? There's no Montreal or Toronto cards in this series. It was only the U.S. teams. So you don't have a lot of players to collect from this 54 top set. And if you're going to collect, if you want, say, one card from the 54 top set in your collection, and it's not going to be Gordie Howe or even Terry Sawchuk, Ted Lindsay, Alex Delvecchio, these are the players that I would kind of lean towards myself. So this is a PSA 3. And, when you start at the top and you look at his face and the bold red color of the uniform, the Red Wings logo, the facsimile autograph is the black is nice and bold. You go down the card, like, why is this only a 3? I had to double check, Josh, and see what the grade was. And then you get down to those bottom corners and you can see, that's what's dragging the grade down. But outside of those, this is a really, really nice card. Let's have a closer look at these corners though down here. So you've got some loss of the top surface layer right there, a little bit of rounding on the corner. The bottom blue edge, you're going to notice pretty much every imperfection. And we can see a little bit of edge chipping along the bottom. It's not that bad, actually. This bottom right corner is funky. There's something going on here. It's dinged. It might be folded up a little bit. Obviously, you're missing the blue coming, all the way down to the corner. You're missing a nice chunk of blue there. And there is a registration issue as well. The yellow plate is situated a little bit high. You can see this yellow shadow all the way across above the red border. Same with down here. It's coming up into the white letters where it really shouldn't be. But it seems to only be the yellow plate in this case. You can also see it coming above his red jersey here. And it's not doing too much to put his face out of focus, though. Face still looks pretty good. So from what we can see, those are the issues. I don't know unless there's something else going on or something on the back, this might feel a tad undergraded to me. Like if there's ever a case to add a half a point for eye appeal, this might deserve it because the image is so bold. The colors are so strong. The surface looks really good. So I don't know, maybe this should be a 3.5. And I'm just, speaking from what I'm seeing here, Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a really cool card. I really like this set. You compare it to the card we just looked at, where this is where you have that when you have a colored border like you do on the bottom with blue, it really makes those imperfections kind of stand out. And I think that does affect the eye appeal a little bit. But just in general, and through the process of us doing our show and learning so much about these guys, I've really gained such a huge appreciation for Ted Lindsay. He's not the greatest hockey player of all time, but he might be one of the most important hockey players of all time. If you think about the environment that exists today for NHL players, a lot of those guys really have him in part to thank for that, and really standing up for players' rights, forming the NHLPA, and much to his own peril to his own career in doing so, because it wasn't really a popular move at that time with owners.
Yeah, no, well said. I think we've had this discussion before where you raised the same bit of knowledge. So thanks for doing it again. And that, because I kind of I don't store that information permanently in my brain when I hear it once. Now that I've heard it twice from you
there you go.
during this show, I think I'm going to remember it. So thanks for that. So this card's $36. I mean, you can't grade this card for $36. No. I don't think so. Nice card to add to your collection. And this might even be a card where, if it's going to end around this $36 level, and I do not know comps on this card, and I don't really care. But what I'm getting at is this is a card where, I would consider purchasing it and then putting it in my showcase at the Sport Card Expo in Toronto and finding a new home for it that way. Because a lot of set collectors like to, that I know, like to walk those floors and pick up the cards and look at them. And I think this card could find a really good home, that way. So maybe an opportunity for someone to pick it up and operate as I just mentioned. All right. We also have a 1971 Topps Ken Dryden. This is a PSA 7. Let's take a look at this one, currently at $175. Wow. I mean, the Topps cards were always produced at higher quality than O-Pee-Chee. And you can just look, I mean, the edges, the corners, the color is absolutely magnificent on this copy. I'm seeing no fish eyes whatsoever. Little one right there in the blue border that I just mentioned. I just saw at the very end of my sentence that I was saying, but I see nothing else wrong with this card. Even the centering, it's not bang on. You can tell it's off center a little bit to the left, but it's not that bad. Like 60-40 at worst, I would think. Maybe 65-35. If maybe it's there. I'm not exactly sure, but top to bottom, this thing is really, really nice. What a good look! What's a good looking card for what it for a Topps Dryden in a PSA 7 holder, an older slab as well. So really nice card, $175. Josh, do you have any kind of thoughts on the difference between maybe the O-Pee-Chee and the Topps copy? Like if you were to add one to your collection, would you consider the Topps or would you have to have the O-Pee-Chee? Where are you at?
Well, all things being equal, I think I'd prefer the O-Pee-Chee, but unless I haven't been or had this point out to me yet, I don't really see the difference too much being in the 71 set between the two, other than the name on the card. And this is where I think kind of grading impacts perception too, because if these cards are just raw and you're looking at a Topps and O-Pee-Chee, until you flip it over, you're not really going to be able to tell. The other thing I was thinking about is, man, this card comes up for sale a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, there's no shortage of these cards right out there for sure. Yeah, it does. Let's go to some comments before we go to the next row. And Eric is telling Name to send her your info. I'm sure she would jump at the chance in relation to Taylor Swift. David G says that Richard card is probably the nicest card of the era. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, David, I love it. I love it. I also love the Beliveau from the set. I like those two cards more than I like the Gordie Howe from the set. But I'm also a humongous fan of the the second year Terry Sawchuk, the 52 Parkhurst. I love that card as well. There's a few, but this is up there for sure. This is probably top 5 for me, Dave. So I'm with you on that. We got Phil in the house, the loud collector. What's going on, buddy? The professor is here. Good to have you. Louie, what's going on? Jeff McMahon. Tim Marin loves horizontal cards. Yeah, so PSA isn't doing it, but I have seen one grading company do it. It might have been HGA, Tim, that made a horizontal slab with the label across the top. And I think in theory, it sounds like a great idea, but they're a much bigger slab because you need more room. They're much more square. They don't fit with the rest of your cards. I understand the sentiment towards it, but I don't know if you would love it as much as you. And I'm not speaking to you. I don't know what you would love, Tim, but let me just continue. I don't know that you would love it or like it as much as you think you might. Because when I saw it, I was like, I don't know, but maybe I just would have to get used to it. I guess we would see. Jake Dahl calls out the good old terrible Ted Lindsay. No doubt. No. Wrong live stream says name. John says Kurt's card care can turn that Ted Lindsay into a PSA 6 in a few minutes. He does magic restoring corners. Kurt's card care. Yep. Lots of narrative on Kurt's card care. What's up, Mike? Double V Cards. Good to see you. And Mitch Grotman. Mitch picked up a huge Grail card for himself today. We'll wait to see him post that on his Instagram. All right, let's keep on going. Couple of Patrick Roys, Josh. Both O-Pee-Chees. We got the PSA 7 copy and the PSA 9. I thought, what a nice opportunity to put these two cards side by side and just take a look and see, how much different are they really? And let's have a look. So here's the 7. Well, it's off-centered. It's got clockwise tilt as well. But other than that, from what I can see, and it's tough on these white edges look good. Corners, I mean, that corner it's less than perfect. This one looks better, but maybe not perfect as well. Bottom right has some fray. Bottom left, like all these corners are consistent, I would say. Overall, it looks good. It's got this little black dot here, which is not like this black dot cannot be there and the card can still be real, but people take comfort in seeing this black dot on their Patrick Roy rookies. So let's zoom out, take a look. So the centering is definitely something that you notice. And here's the 9. Well, I mean, the 9, Also has tilt. It's going the other way. Counterclockwise tilt on this. Does have the black dot right there, so that's going to bring comfort for some people. Let's have a look at these corners. Yeah, right away you can tell the corners on this are stronger than on the 7. It's got a bit of a rough cut coming down the right edge there, which is fine. Bottom right corner looks really strong. Yeah, this is clearly a better card than the 7, even though it does have the tilt going on. And then when I was zooming out, I just kind of noticed something in this area here. Now, I don't know if you can see, I think these are scratches on the holder versus the card. Can you see that, Josh, right in this A? And you kind of have a bit of it coming in over here and over. There's a line coming down here. I don't know for certain that those are on the holder and not the card, but that's kind of my thoughts on them. So on it, that's kind of what I think is going on, but I'm not 100% certain. The 7, look at the color of the white border with me, Josh. So look at this white border and then look at that one. And is it the same white? This white looks crisper than the white on the 9. There's the 9, the white border. It could just be the photograph, because look at how this white looks white, stark white. This white has it's a bit of a darker shade, but it's very subtle. I barely notice it. So in any event, you got your choice tonight of 2 Patrick Roy rookies. The 7 is currently sitting at $180. The 9 is at $675. They both have some tilt, but proceed accordingly. Your thoughts on these, Josh, before we talk about this PSA 10 Yzerman? Josh?
Yeah, I think they're both good cards. I was just looking up out of curiosity, kind of the difference in pop count between the 9 and the 7. So there's actually 703 PSA 9s and 891 PSA 7s. What's really interesting, though, about that is in between that, a PSA 8, it jumps up to 1,591. So there's a big, that's the most popular grade for this card would be a PSA 8. And then a PSA 9 typically sells between 900 and 1,000 US. And so, as you can tell, with still some time left, it's kind of tracking towards that level.
Yeah, I see that for sure. All right, we have a 86 Topps Steve Yzerman. So this is his 3rd year card, and it's a PSA 10. The population is 7. And I have a thing for these, top tier Hall of Famers. And yes, I'm putting Yzerman in the top tier. I know he's no Gretzky, but my personal favorite players among them. And this is just really cool to see a low pop PSA 10, even though it's Topps and not the O-Pee-Chee. And the card, so let's have a look at it. Centering wise, it's high and to the right. It's not perfectly centered. You can see this border here is definitely wider than the border here, and this border here is narrower than the bottom border. Other than the and remember, it doesn't mean it's misgraded. PSA allows for 60-40 centering on the front. Very, very loose on their centering standards. So as we come down, but the top corners look great. Top edge looks great. The left and right edges, I go back and forth as we're going down, look really nice. The odd little divot, but it's just the rough cut. Bottom edge, a nice rough cut, but not too rough. And the bottom corners look good too. I'm not seeing any registration issues whatsoever, but let's just make sure. Yeah, he's in focus. Everything's lining up nicely here. That's a nice copy. I think the most attractive quality of this card is the population. So, first of all, it is a 3rd year Steve Yzerman. If you're working on an Yzerman, playing years or O-Pee-Chee or top, say the 80s run, then this is a pretty cool card to add. Only 7 people can have this in a PSA 10 holder, and it's at $310 right now. Anything to add to that one, Josh?
Yeah, I really like the card. It is kind of cool when you get these, player run kind of unique, I guess, cards. And what makes this one unique, of course, is that it's such a low pop on the PSA 10. So at $310 with buyer's premium, that's what, like 375 or 372, something like that. That would put it already at a public record high.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's an in-demand card. It's nice to hear that a card like this is getting, more love than it's had before, because I am a fan of the card. Before we hit this row up, Tim does respond says, I can see how it may not be as attractive as I'm envisioning. Yeah, Tim, I mean, almost like sketch it out and put one of your regular slabs against it and see how you think that would match up. And then if you're going to like put cards together, if you're doing a pairing or something, it's one of those things, Tim. I was the exact way as you. At first I thought, oh, a horizontal slab would be so cool. And then I saw one. I was like, oh, I don't know so much. But Timmy, welcome back. Luigi says, regarding Patrick Watt, today's 9s are yesterday's 10s. Yeah, that might apply to more than just Patrick Watt. Peter Collect says 71 tops versus O-Pee-Chee. Front colors are a bit different. The backs are totally different. Oh, totally different. The tops back is vertical. Thanks for that, Peter. I've heard that before, but not a tidbit I had stored. And we've got my friend Rob Gerard, the sports card therapist, is in the house. What's going on, Rob? Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for letting us know you are with us. All right, a couple of Gretzkys here in the next row. 1990. This is a base card, but it's not his main base card, or what we might want to call his true base. I kind of made that up. This is more of like a subset trophies card. I believe it says Art Ross right here. You can see the trophy is obviously right there. He does have another card in the set that will be a lot lower number than 522, but this is a PSA 10. Let's see if PWCC gave us the pop here. They didn't. I'm going to bring that up really quick unless Josh has it handy already, but if not, I'm already working on it. 555-82808, I think that says. Let's open this up. 555-82808. Let's see what the population is on this card. It's a PSA 10, and the population is 60. So it's, under 100, but it's not like 10 or 15. It is 60. It's it's still a cool card, something that's necessary for people who are doing the Gretzky run, and it's sitting in a very affordable $30 right now. The next one is the 1990 Pro Set Gretzky in a PSA 10. Population of this card, and I just think this is interesting stuff, 605-93345. Population of this card number 118 is 75. So right around the same as, just a little bit more than the O-Pee-Chee here. But considering that Pro Set might be the hockey product with the highest print run ever, and it's probably like by a long shot, unless if anyone knows what might have been printed in higher quantity than 90 Pro Set, please let me know. But I feel like this might be the product. And to consider that there's only 75 of Gretzky's like main base card in the set in PSA 10, that actually surprises me that it's that low. This could easily be, a couple hundred, but it's Pro Set, it's Pro Set. So Josh, your thoughts on these two Gretzkys?
On the Gretzky Art Ross card, I've honestly never been much of a trophy card. And I know, Phil, if you're still here, Loud Collector, kind of moves us into the next card too. He's probably opened more 1990 Pro Set wax boxes than any human being ever, searching for the king of all trophy cards, the Stanley Cup hologram from that set. But so, and I understand that people would appreciate him. I understand if you're doing a player run, totally get that. As far as the 1990 Pro Set Gretzky, that card, I don't think as a kid I opened up any more packs of cards than I did this set. And so this is totally subjective and me grasping back to the magic of my childhood and seeing through those the world through that lens, I guess. But I've always thought that this is a really nice looking card. I've always liked this card. And the fact that I assume it's because only 75 people or so many people bothered to send it in for grading, because I know that if you can buy a box for $15 that or something like that these come a dime a dozen. But and I see Mike's comment. Mike, I'm not saying I opened it more than anyone else. I'm saying for me, I didn't know there's no other set I opened more than 1990 Pro Set hockey.
I thought you also said that Phil, being the Loud Collector who calls it the greatest set of all time, I thought you were saying that he might have opened more boxes than anybody else.
Yeah, Phil, I mean, chime in. How many Gretzkys? You have hundreds of these Gretzkys, I believe. Like literally. Yeah.
There was an expo a couple of more than a couple, probably 8 years ago at Expo. There was a vendor, half an aisle down from my booth who had boxes and boxes. I think about 5 or 10 boxes on the Sunday, and I just sat there and opened them searching for that Stanley Cup hologram. Obviously, I did not hit one, or I would have told you that sooner. All right, let's keep on rolling. Before we do, Tim says Josh is nailing it on 1990 Pro Set. So nostalgic. And Rally Sports Cards, welcome to the show. All right, we have a Upper Deck French rookie card, Dominic Hasek. It's population 279. Would be interesting to contrast that to what his English population is for the English 91 Upper Deck, but this is sitting at $110. And I just thought we'd point it out. It's Hasek in Chicago, early days, 1991, rookie PSA 10. Josh, I don't have much more to say about this, except that this might be the product that was printed more than the Pro Set, although I doubt it. What do you think about this card?
Oh, yeah, I have a lot to say. We talked about this one quite a bit on our show, and I have the data you're looking for. So the English version has a pop of 1,221. And for my mind,
that's like a thousand more.
Yeah, 1,000 more. And so I want to talk about that card for a sec, because I know that this is a little bit of a twist on that. It provides a little bit more scarcity. But just thinking about his English version, can you make the case it's the worst rookie card of all time for a legendary NHL player? Think about it. It's a 1991 Upper Deck. You just said the height of junk wax era. He didn't even get a Young Gun. He didn't even get a World Juniors card like a Teemu Selanne or Nicholas Lidstrom or something like that. He got a base card in 1991 Upper Deck as Dominic Hasek's rookie card. Again, understanding this is a little slight twist on that with the French version, but there's part of me that thinks that's kind of tragically sad. Oh, and he's in a Blackhawks uniform where he played something like 735 games, I want to say, and only 20 of those games were with the Blackhawks.
There you have it, everybody. Yeah. There are some cases like that back in the day, but you did nail it with the Selanne and the Forsberg and the Lidstrom and the Palfies, all from that year. But those guys did have I don't know if it's better to have a World Junior card than it is to have. I preferred it to be like this in the Blackhawks, but what he didn't get is a Young Gun, and that is a little bit tragic considering other players did. All right, continuing along. This is a nice card. I was working on this set for a while. This is 2003 Trilogy patch cards. There's the star cards, and I believe there were Legends was the other ones that they had, Legends and Stars. And I recently broke up my set. At first I kept there's 2 Gretzkys in this set. There's Patrick Roy, there's Lemieux. It's a great checklist. And this is a pretty cool looking card. This patch if you just look right above the patch onto the logo, it's right from the top of is that the Capitol building? What that is supposed to be, Josh?
Yeah. That's Capitol building.
Right from the top of the Capitol building, you can see where that patch is coming from. It's a nice patch. That's why I want to highlight it. $22 is way too cheap for this card. That's just my honest thought. You can go look at comps on this card and see that ones with lesser patches will sell for more. So consider that as we move forward tonight. We have this 2005, so it's a rookie year, Alexander Ovechkin from Fleer Ultra, the Difference Makers patch in an SGC 9.5 holder. I don't believe that this card is numbered. No, it's not numbered. It would be on the back from this year if it was, but SGC does tend to put the serial number on the front label, and I don't see it there. So that's why I'm concluding that it is not, but it's a rookie year jersey card. If nothing else, $135. If you want to get in on the cheap on a rookie year Ovechkin, this is an opportunity for you. And but this is an actual rookie card Ovechkin, 05 Parkhurst, PSA 10. Josh, any chance you have the pop handy on this one?
No, I don't. I've looked it up before, though, and I don't believe it's super huge.
I got it coming right now. Population is 339. 339. Do you know off the top of your head a range of what his Young Guns rookie pop is?
I want to say his PSA 10 is right around, it's like 900 something.
Yeah, I thought it was just under 1,000 myself, and this one is 339. So it's a tougher card to find in a PSA 10 holder, and it does have that Parkhurst brand working for it. Does have that going for it. I mean, it's Parkhurst owned by Upper Deck in the 2000s versus Parkhurst of the 50s, but it still does carry that brand. So something to consider. Josh, your thoughts on any of these three?
Yeah, I don't know much about that trilogy set that you were working on, but now I'm intrigued to learn a little bit more. So that's homework, I guess, for me to do. I actually have owned a bunch of the Fleer Ultra rookie jersey cards. I think there's a couple inserts from that year. There's a difference makers. I think there's a scoring kings as well. And honestly, they're really cool cards. And for anyone that doesn't have a huge budget, that at this point, given how really expensive some of the top rookies or rookie year cards for both Ovechkin and Crosby can get, these are really affordable options for very nice cards. And so I'm actually a big fan of them for that reason. And then very similarly, I love the Parkhurst Ovechkin rookie. I just think it's a great looking card. I love the background. I love kind of the burst. It kind of fits the theme of the new Young Guns, the new numbered parallels that are going to be coming out in series 1. And and I would say, like, with Ovechkin and his Young Guns, I don't, at 1,000 and given where his place will be in the game, I don't worry about that pop count. But that's a $4,500, $5,000 card. Who knows where it goes over the next 18 months as he approaches the record. And so if you want to own, as part of it, because I think sometimes owning a card, like a rookie card like that, makes you feel in a weird way part of sort of the whole thing of him going for the record, and you don't necessarily want to spend $5,000 on a base Young Guns. I think this is a great option. It's a cool looking card.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that, it's less than 10% of the price of the Young Gun, and it's 3 times as rare. So that this is one of those things where the brand of the Young Guns brand is just, it's got so much value associated with it. But and Parkhurst does too, but not in 2005. That's one of the reasons that it is selling at the price it is. It's at about $400 right now after the buyer's premium. And there are still other cards that are, still better than, not better, but more desirable or desired, that are desired more than this one, and still less than the Young Guns. There are some other cards that came out in that year that fit that mold.
Can I make another quick comment about Parkhurst? And just, and I kind of have you to thank, I think, a lot for this too. And just the process of doing this show and learning so much about vintage cards, I think it's a little bit tragic. And I'm not trying to be really super critical of Upper Deck. It's just my honest opinion in how they've handled the Parkhurst brand. And basically converting it to a cheap retail brand where you go back to the lineage of Parkhurst, and it's some of the greatest hockey cards ever made. And so actually now to, I guess, give Upper Deck a little bit of credit in return. And I'm really hope that this is executed similarly to how SP Legends was. I'm very, very excited about the Parkhurst Legends set. Or the Parkhurst Champion set, sorry, that's coming out. That's going to have kind of the retro designs with I believe it's the 2022 or 2021 rookies. It's slipping my mind right now. And I'm hoping that will help, again, elevate that Parkhurst brand a little bit, because it's just, I don't really see it as a blaster box kind of brand. Do you?
Well, I actually do, because I've been conditioned to look at it that way now. That's kind of, why I said Parkhurst as a brand for the 50s in super high esteem. Parkhurst in the 2000s, it's just not it. Yeah. And like you said, it's got to do with how Upper Deck has treated it, and they just haven't paid, for whatever reason, they haven't striven to maintain the brand that it had back in the 50s. Now, part of that could be, though, Josh, that the Parkhurst name and brand name has changed hands a few times. Sure. Since Brian Price first acquired it from the original the original holder of the trademark. So trademark, patent, whatever, not patent, I guess trademark. So interesting. that's the way it's gone, and that's the reality of it today. I want to point out a comment here that came in from 2 Cent Hockey Cards. The Ovi picture on the Fleer is the same picture as his Young Guns, which you look at it, you're like, oh, of course it is, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together when I first looked at it. But that's kind of neat. Hey, like, talk about putting a pairing of cards together. Put this beside his Young Guns. Those would look nice together, even though one's vertical, one's horizontal. Kind of neat, though. What do you think? Cool?
Yeah, that is kind of cool. And I should say about that one, too, and I'm kind of interested in your opinion on this, but I'm a big Fleer Ultra guy. That's a set I really love. I actually think the new release that came out this summer was really, really nice. It was hard for people to get that because it was an EPAC exclusive, and a lot of the hits were scans that were not really done very well by ComC. But if you get those cards in hand, they are super nice. And so that's another brand I have a lot of affinity for. Are you a Fleer Ultra guy?
I certainly am. I was actually on the phone earlier today with Billy, talking to him a little bit about it and just sharing with him what some of my favorites were. So I really like the hot numbers design that came out. It's a throwback to the hot numbers from the 90s, but they're nicer. The colors they use are just beautiful. But let's continue along. Say hello to Jay-Z, who's in the house. Phil's bought 3 cases in total of Pro Set, never hit the hologram yet, but hundreds of Gretzky's, and has kept everyone. Mike Truman's is 0 for 54 boxes as well. Loud Collector broke 1,000 Canadian with my last 3rd case in total. It's not the destination. It is the journey. Peter Collect calls it one of the greatest of all time. 1990 Pros. It's the nostalgia, right? That's what it is. That was the most affordable product back in 1990 as well, if I remember correctly. Peter says 1990 score Brodeur rookie card, terrible. Hasek, much better than that. He's not wrong. He's not wrong about that, Josh. I mean, you've shared your opinions on those 1990 rookie cards before. So
that one's tragic too. That's a good ad by Peter. Very, very
tragic. Tragic. 90s Hockey Collector, welcome to the show. All right. Let's go to the next. We're in extended bidding. We are at 13 minutes into extended bidding. So if any of these cards shows red down here versus green, it will end in 16 minutes. This card will end at 8:35, or I should say 7:35 Pacific at the earliest. All right, next row. This card just got a bid as we came down to it. You know, I bought the Mario Lemieux from this series a few weeks ago on this show. This is the Patrick Roy. It's the 2009 Exquisite Flashback RPA. It's not a true rookie, obviously. It's many years into the career, or past the career even, but it's out of 25 on-card auto. He's pictured in his Montreal uniform, which he should be. That's where he played in his rookie year, but it does have a Colorado patch. So a bit of a Frankenstein type matching there, which actually takes me out of the running for wanting to buy this. If this was a Montreal patch, me and I bet a lot more people would be after this card tonight. I certainly would be if this was a Montreal patch. The fact that it isn't, it's an easy way for me to say, nope, I'm not going to grab it because I have the Gretzky and the Lemieux from this set, and they have proper patches that match the jerseys that they played for at the time. Despite all that, it's still a really cool card, an awesome card, if you will. And it's at $975 right now. Pop 6, 8 graded higher, making it one of the 14 best copies in a BGS holder. I think it's a great card. Josh, how do you think?
Yeah, I'm not the hugest tribute card guy, but I really do like this set. And I actually have a question for you on this because I think you might know the answer. I'm not by any stretch a WA hockey card expert, but isn't it the case where Canadians patches are much more rare than Avalanche? Am I correct in saying that?
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, definitely more. Definitely the case from what I have seen. I definitely think so. Name just wants to throw out there that Josh loves a good portrait photo, and I know he's tongue-in-cheek. We all know that you don't. 90s hockey, I think I said hi to you already, but hello again. Hello again. Okay, we've got a 2011 Panini Prime Captain's Cloth Crosby. These are very cool cards, you guys. Like, very cool. This is one half of the C off of his jersey as captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The other, so this is number 2 of 2. 1 of 2 would obviously be the top half. And a lot of people back when this product first came out, I remember it well, would try to put together, because there were several players on the checklist, would try to get both pieces and put together the whole Captain C or the A. That's why they called it Captain's Cloth and not say Captain C, because there were A's as well for assistant captain. But this is I think it's a very cool card. Game used jersey patch from the letter. I mean, $650 seems really low to me right now, but I'm not sure how people are feeling about Panini. This is the first year. It was 2011 the first year they had. Yeah, 2010 Panini had the license as well, right? The Taylor Hall year they made cards. So this is the second year that Panini had a hockey license of 4 years altogether. And it's a BGS 9. It's a pretty cool card though. Right, Josh? I mean, well, I want to hear your thoughts without me trying to tee it up for you.
Oh, it's a super cool card. I just don't know how you buy it and not get the other one at some point, because it seems incomplete by itself, and it would feel like an impossible task too. I think you'd have to have a bead on the other one before you made a purchase like this. But what a great idea. It would be awesome to see Upper Deck do more stuff like this going forward.
Yeah. The other option though is because someone else obviously has the top of the C. So if they're not watching this auction, eventually someone is going to want to, who has the other card, is going to want to pair it up. So there might be a strategy here to pick this one up, because when you find out who has the other one, you guys are going to have a discussion and decide who's going to have the pair, or the other guy just says, I only want one of them. And then, you can happily just have this one for yourself too. Tough to know, although I'm sure somebody out there knows who has the other one of these cards, the 1 of 2 version of it. And then finally on this row, 2012 Fleer Retro Wayne Gretzky Jambalaya. And I do love these cards. I have this card in my collection, and I love 2012 Fleer Retro, probably my favorite hockey product of all time, in the modern era. And it's a PSA 8. The grade, I don't know how much I really care. I've got several of these cards, and just to zoom in and see what's going on, it looks pretty good. You can see that just might be light reflecting off the edge there. That lighter shade of white down here. I'm not sure if that's damage or not. It doesn't seem to be, but it might be. You just don't know. Obviously, there's no corners on this card. Centering actually doesn't look perfect. Like this border up here is a little bit wider than the border, say, down here, but it's still pretty. You can see it's wider on the side here than it is right over here. And that might be, so maybe it is shifted down into the right a little bit. But, I have some of these, and I don't mind that at all. I'm not sure what the population is on this. I'm going to look it up though for us, because it'll also be interesting to see. Obviously, it's an 8, so it's not the highest grade.
I think on the listing, Jeremy, it says Pop 4, none graded higher.
Oh, it does. Thanks for that, Josh. I was just looking at Pop 4, none graded higher. That's what I wanted to know. How many were graded higher? So that makes this one of the nicest, or let's just say, according to PSA, one of the best 4 that they've seen. There might be some graded lower. Josh, where do you fall on the whole jambalaya? You like jambalayas, if I recall.
I really, really like jambalayas, and I like this card a lot. And one thing, though, that I want to point out that I don't think we consider enough is, so in this case where it says Pop 4, non-graded higher, the way that gets worded, and I'm not being super critical here, is that is like an absolute. Well, there's a number of BGS 8.5s at least that have sold, and there could be some Beckett's that are graded higher, because Beckett was much more prominent back at the time this card came out. So you can't let that fool you to think that, okay, although this is a very rare card in of itself, there's only 7 sales ever of this card I can find in public sales based in the Card Ladder sales history. So it doesn't sell that often. The other thing I really appreciate about this card is, as I've evolved my collecting, Jeremy, I'm kind of going into the mindset of rookies and firsts. And I think I might have said this before. And so, well, technically this is not a first, because Gretzky's first jambalaya was 2008. But though, because he's so synonymous with the teams he played for, and people look at the Gretzky eras in that way, where the 2008 jambalaya was in an Oilers uniform, this one's in a Kings uniform. And so to me, and I guess how I weirdly justify things is that it kind of separates this card, and it doesn't make it feel like you would with the McDavid, right? Where the 2020 jambalaya versus the 2021, which I don't like the 2021 at all. This one feels distinctively different than that first one to me, and it's almost like a pair that you would want both.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have the right there above my finger. It's hard to see. That's the 2008 Gretzky jambalaya right above my finger. It's my favorite of all the jambalayas. Is the first year, the red and the blue, the hockey rink in the background. To me, that's the nicest one. But I like how you just made this card more desirable for me, more important, because how you described it's the first LA version of a jambalaya for him. And Gretzky's a player where, while I might, if I was really hardcore into firsts, I'd be like, okay, I'm good after the 08 jambalaya. But Gretzky is a player that we make exceptions for. At least I do, and I think a lot of people
100%.
do. Yeah, and that would be a great reason. Then I would want to find a Rangers jambalaya as well, and who knows, maybe a St. Louis one day if they ever made one. I don't think they've made one up to this point, but good call out right there. Jay-Z says the Canadians patches for Patrick Roy are way rarer than the Colorado ones. So, another opinion or observation on that. Cards AH, what's going on? And Rally Sports says he loves Panini Prime in reference to this card right here. Lots of amazing jumbo mega, I guess they're not called mega patches, but jumbo patches in Panini Prime from across the years that the product came out. All right, continuing along. From the same year as the Gretzky jambalaya, 2012 Flair Retro, we've got a Crosby. This is a PSA 7, Pop 1, just 3 graded higher. Now, Josh made a really important point. I think a lot of us recognize that there are other grading companies, and these population subtitles only apply to the one grading company. So while we understand that, there's a lot of people. I think there are, I won't say a lot. There are people who just maybe only collect cards in PSA holders or BGS holders or tag holders nowadays, if I can be so bold and put that out there. And so it is still important. But yeah, if you want a complete picture of the whole population of that card, you need to consider other grading companies as well. This is the Crosby. It is not his first jambalaya as well. Nor is it his first Pittsburgh jambalaya, but it's still a really, really cool card, and one that'll, some people might just want all the jambalayas for their favorite player. I have this card as well. Love it. Yeah. And a Noise Boys from the same year and set. Noise Boys. I love Noise Boys cards. I've never owned a Noise Boys from like the original basketball product, but I have several from this 2012 Flair Retro. And now that I'm trying to think, I don't think that Upper Deck has done a second version of Noise, or have they? Oh, they did, didn't they? No?
They did Big Man on Ice, which is sort of similar in the last year or so. I think that was in 2021 Skybox Metal Universe. But
this is the only, so we haven't seen another, not yet. You got to think it's coming eventually, but we haven't seen it yet. Noise Boys, very popular. This is a PSA 10, Population 2. And I've personally graded several Noise Boys from this year, and I don't think I hit a Gem Mint 10 from PSA a few years ago when I was submitting these. So Pop 2 says a lot right there. Really, really cool card. Anything you want to mention on this one, on either of these two, Josh, before we move along?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Noise Boys. I just picked up a Yager PSA 10 not too long ago from that same year. And I actually have a question for you about, because I wasn't as active in the hobby in 2012. So whenever the 2012 Flair Retro set came out, was it a big deal right when it came out? Or is this one of those things where it took a couple years after for people to really understand what it was?
Yeah. So I remember when it came out, and it wasn't as popular. It was popular among the very small contingent of hockey collectors who knew the 90s basketball landscape because it had jambalayas and it had noise boys and it had essential credentials. So it was popular among that very small contingent of hockey collectors. Now, I wasn't in the know about a lot of it. So when I saw Noise Boys and Hot Shots come out of these packs and I opened a few boxes, I was like, what is this? Literally, I was like, what is this? What's this flame-shaped thing? What does Noise Boys mean? I was not familiar with them when they came out. I've since really informed myself, and now I've come to love them. But it wasn't until years later when, social media really started taking over, and we started to see all these awesome cards from the 90s. And then you realize, oh, wait, 5 years ago, Upper Deck made a hockey product that had a bunch of these. And that's when I went absolutely bonkers and started buying them up.
I'm guessing they were filthy cheap at a time too.
Oh my gosh. I mean, not only that, Josh, when the set first came out, what the other kind of neat thing in the set was you had these inserts that were throwbacks to the original Fleer Ultra sets. So, 91 Fleer Ultra, 92, 93, there were each of those years, the original years, had representation in 2012 Fleer Retro. And I was actually collecting in a binder with like nine pocket pages, those sets. And when I discovered what else was in that product, I was like, oh, I wish I would have gone with the inserts instead of those throwback cards, because I like them so much more now. So yeah. But it's a great product. Like I said, now it is probably one of my favorite products of all time as far as hockey goes. All right. We have a 2016 Sign of the Times Wayne Gretzky on-card auto, Oilers uniform, BGS 9.5, 10 auto. Looks to be a true gem plus as far as the subgrades go. Yep, 395s. And the surface is a 10. And I love surface grades. Surface 10s are I love seeing that. So this is a really, really sharp. Look at the full body shot of Gretzky. This is not like in warm-up or in between whistles. This is an action shot right here. He's eyeing down his defenseman right there, and saying to them with his eyes, I'm going to be 20 feet ahead in about 3 seconds. Make sure the puck is there waiting for me. And then he probably went on and scored a goal. This is a really nice card, Josh. What do you think about the aesthetics, the design of this?
Yeah, this is another one that we talked a lot about on our show last week. And part of the reason was the aesthetics. I love the fact that he's in the Oilers uniform. I love cards that are designed to have the auto. So many cards now, they shoehorn the auto into it, where the auto like kind of like bleeds into the card design. I'm not saying like bleeds into the material, but just or that they have to like deaden it, or you see that like on OPG Platinum. As much as I like that, they like ruin the surface in order for the auto to stick in an area. This is a card that the auto has its space. It's the focal point. There's area around it to breathe. And in the case of Wayne Gretzky, who's got one of the nicest signatures ever, it really makes it special. And then the other thing that we kind of debated was, Troy and I are a little bit of the opinion that maybe there's too many Gretzky autos now, and Upper Deck might need to pull back a little bit on those a bit, because it feels like they're getting watered down. And so because there are so many, and they're literally, it seems like almost in every set, how do you go about deciding what what's like a low-end Gretzky auto, a middle-of-the-road Gretzky auto versus a high-end one? And we thought that this was a really good middle-of-the-road auto.
Let me just jump in quick. I would say the low end would be the stickers. That's an easy pickings right there. Before we continue, I just want to point out there are 20 seconds left until this window of extended bidding ends. Anything in red is going to end at the price we're seeing here, including some cards we haven't even looked at yet. A Kaprizov PSA 10 selling cheaper than last week. A Carey Price SP Authentic limited auto patch is going to sell for $210, it looks like, in a couple seconds here. Platinum McDavid rookie PSA 9 is about to sell, probably just sold at $93 with buyer's premium. Let's go to the top now and just see what has sold. So the Dryden that we looked at earlier sold for $210. Lindsay and Maurice Richard still alive. Patrick Roy PSA 9 sold for $810, lower than 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 other copies recently, but I think deservedly so because it does have some tilt going on. The PSA 1086 Topps Yzerman does $372, $132 on the French Hasek rookie, $36 on the Art Ross Wayne Gretzky, $408 on the Parkhurst Ovechkin rookie. These three are still alive, and even the Gretzky Jambalaya is already going to go into the next window. And we saw that one. $252 on the Carey Price. I'm going to go to the next page. There's only a few cards here. This Run for the Cup, Nicholas Lidstrom from 2020 Black Diamond sold for a whopping $12 in a 7. Yeah, you can't grade for that price. And this Red Rainbow, Scott, why were we looking at this? I don't even know why this is in here.
I'm from Hibbing, Minnesota. He's my guy.
Oh, that was for you. That was for you because he's from Minnesota. Right.
Yeah, he's from my small hometown. We're a small mining community. And Scotty, Hobie Baker winner. So but he's had a horrible injury luck his first couple years. So hopefully this is his year.
And the Jack Eichel Woodies sells for $35. That I believe is an Easter egg type of card from 2022 O-Pee-Chee. So there we have it. Just to make sure we're not missing too many cards that have already sold. Back to where we left off brings us to this row here. So, of course, we have the McDavid O-Pee-Chee Platinum rookie card. PSA 9 does $93. I mean, that's not a bad deal right there, considering what a PSA 9 Young Guns would go for. And this is a product like we were talking about the Ovechkin Parkhurst. We didn't have O-Pee-Chee Platinum back in 2005, but, this is a card in 2015 that I would like a lot more than a Parkhurst McDavid rookie. Yeah. I would want the O-Pee-Chee Platinum personally myself more. We have a 2017 Upper Deck Splendor Steven Stamkos patch auto numbered out of 36, a decent 2-color patch. Just, at least it's not a stripe going through it. You do have this. I don't know what I'm going to take a stab at and say isosceles triangle. I don't know what it is there really, but you got this triangle patch. Nice autograph. Splendor was very popular. BGS 8.5 holder sitting at $92 right now. And then we have a 2018 SP Authentic Sign of the Times Elias Pettersson rookie year Sign of the Times, numbered out of 99. And Sign of the Times aren't always numbered. It's in a PSA 10 holder. This card has a lot going for it. As far as like Pettersson non-true rookies goes, rookie year Sign of the Times, SP Authentic. You got brand equity and you've got insert set equity. Numbered to 99. That's not a regular thing for Sign of the Times. And it's in a PSA 10 holder. $150, pop 7. So kind of lots going for this card, Josh.
Is the auto really light on that one?
Oh, I didn't even. Yeah, let's look at the auto. Pretty good. I mean, a little streaky right through here and maybe here, but not too bad still. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Josh? Any thoughts on these three?
I love O-Pee-Chee Platinum, one of my favorite sets. I love that design from 2015. Without looking at the card specifically, I know a lot of times on Platinum cards, the surface is going to be tough to get that grade. So I'm not shocked when I see PSA 9s. The Stamkos is a cool card. We've talked about him plenty of times where one of the more underappreciated players. I oftentimes too think, and even more so than Stamkos with Austin Matthews, when you have both the Lightning and the Maple Leafs, that the fact that they have 2-color jerseys, it inherently makes their patch cards often pretty kind of uninteresting. It's definitely not like a Blackhawks patch. That's for sure. And so I wonder if that hurts those. And then Pettersson had a huge year last year, and he's still very young. I think he's 24 years old still, and not even in his prime. And I think he had 39 goals and something like 104 points. Something like that. So if he could put another season like that together and they could be a little bit less dysfunctional, maybe in Vancouver, that could be a smart buy.
Jay-Z, who lives in Vancouver, says he's not selling well. Canucks fans are worried he's going to walk. And that's a real legitimate reason for a team collector, a player collector, a fan of that team to maybe hold off a little bit if that's what they did. This is interesting. This card says sold, but we're not. Oh, there it is. Now the banner is showing up. So this did just sell at that $150 plus buyer's premium. The Stamkos is now sold for $110. As we come down, the Kaprizov does $204, but this Crosby is still going. The 2019 Clear Cut Cup Tribute, PSA 9 on the card, 10 on the auto, Pop 7, 3 graded higher at $1,125. And listen, the ability to acquire his Cup rookie, it's passed most of us by, considering, it's what, 40 grand maybe anyway to get involved, if not more. And so this looks the same. It's not a rookie card, of course. It's a 14th year card, but it does look like it in many ways, not always. Pretty cool piece, pretty cool card. Sitting at now, we've seen a bit as we're sitting on it up to $1,350. Josh, you're not much of a tribute card guy, but what do you think of this one? Just kind of on a standalone basis.
Well, first of all, I look at the price, even at $1,475. The last sale on this card was back in April for a raw. Jeremy, it sold for $5,225 US.
Wow.
We're way lower than that. I don't know. In general, I think this is kind of a weird card. It's weird that it's a clear-cut card, but yet you have the Cup logo in it. I get it. Why? And then the thing that I think is the hardest to get my head wrapped around is the fact that, of course, where you see that little shield with the Penguins logo in it is where the patch would be in the RPA. And so that's kind of an interesting treatment. And then I wonder, too, if maybe some people get thrown off by the fact that he didn't center his auto when he signed the card, too. Does that bother you?
I noticed it. I'll put it to you that way. I don't know if it would stop me from wanting a copy of the card. If they're all like that, it wouldn't stop me if this was a card I was after. If some of them had the autograph better centered, I would want a better centered autograph.
They're not all like that. A number of them have the auto better centered.
Do we have any indication as to what the print run is on this card?
No.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's fairly limited, but
Upper Deck just doesn't share that information. Let's go back to the top of page 1 here and just see what's happened. So the Maurice Richard, which we established earlier on in the evening, is a top 5 aesthetic card of the era. Does $408. The Lindsay does $47. We saw the Dryden already, $372 there. So the PSA 7 WAD does $240, and the PSA 9 does $810. I think both low price for the grade, but these both have a centering issue that I refer to as tilt, where it's not diamond cut, it's just tilt. The card, it's a centering thing. Art Ross, $36. Oh, the Pro Set is still going at $44. $65 on this, $168 on the rookie year Ovechkin Fleer Ultra jersey card with the same image as the Young Gun, $408 on the Parkhurst. $1,025 still alive. Patrick Roy is still alive here. $700 on the Captain's Cloth Crosby, $9.25 on Gretzky Jambalaya, $290 on, that's cheap, I think. It's a 7 though, so it is a lower grade, but still $290 on the Crosby Jambalaya, $6.25 on the Crosby Noise Boys, Pop 2. This is still, to me, this should be, I don't know. I don't own this card, but I don't know how this isn't. I'm looking. I just caught. I have a copy on my wall right there. It's a 9. I have this exact card on my wall in a 12-piece Show Your Slabs display, and it's a 9. I see it right there, mint 9. Anyway, this card, I don't know how it's not double.
I feel like it's $1,000 card.
Yeah, I would think so too. I mean, okay, but tonight we'll see what it sells for here and now tonight with the people watching it is what it's worth here and now to the people that are interested in it. The Gretzky Sign of the Times is at $800. These 3 have sold. We saw them. We've done this row. So let's skip ahead. Let's skip ahead because I want to see what's going to happen on this page when the next 20 seconds run out. This Ovechkin Foundations quad jersey from 2020 Cup, 49 print run. That's the highest I've ever seen them do a Foundations, is at $100. They were usually out of 25 for the non-auto jersey variation. Dylan Cousins. This is a really good looking card. 2020 Ultimate. This is a 1-of-1 auto PSA 8. The card is a 1-of-1. It is autoed in gold. This is a really good looking card. It just sold for $564, which there's a lot of hype on Cousins. You guys talk about him on the Gong Show, Josh. What can you tell us about him? Not too much time because the card has sold and I want to get to the others, but really quick, Cousins, what's the forecast look like on him?
Well, we're still looking to see who's going to assert themselves as that second goal scorer in Buffalo. He had a little bit of a rough start to his NHL career, but one of the things we preach a lot is to look at their entire player history, and he's been a goal scorer almost since he put on skates, and he kind of got back on track last year. So if he can keep it up, could be a smart buy.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. The player from Josh's hometown has sold for $36, and we saw the Woody Eichel. That's really cheap. $35. Again, like you can't grade for that. Oh, maybe you can, but like not much less. And you're getting a nice, and he's even in his Vegas uniform, which is kind of where I'd want him right now, because that's where he won a Stanley Cup last year. So really, really cool. Back to page one, and then let's do comments first. Jay-Z in relation to Elias Pettersson said a 2-color cup rookie moved at a local show for $2,800. He goes on to say the tilt makes it very undesirable. That's in reference to the Patrick Roy rookies. Professor picked up the Ted Lindsay PSA 3 Tops card, 54 Tops. Nice. Yeah. Good way to go, Professor. You're making what I consider to be astute purchases during these episodes. Signed and slabbed in the house as a big chunk of baseball just ended all of a sudden. That's going to happen every 5 minutes now. We're going to see a chunk of cards end as they don't get bids during that 5-minute window. And good to see you, David. Thank you for joining. Professor also picked up the Ovechkin rookie year Fleer Ultra patch card or jersey card. Professor's paying attention. Good purchase, pal. Good purchase. Larry says, how are the modern cards doing? Any bump up with the preseason run-up? We have a very limited sample here tonight, Larry, as far as cards that we're watching. So I would say too small to tell. Okay, so we're now hearing, Joe says there might be an issue with the PWCC platform. David says they had bids to extend and didn't. Okay. I didn't catch that, guys. Thank you for briefing us. And Joe says everything's sold in baseball because I don't know. I mean, I'm going to refresh here and see what's going on. If everything is sold for us too, was it just in the baseball category? That wouldn't really make sense to me. Or is everything now sold? And we're only looking at, oh gosh, everything seems to be sold now. That's really weird after I refreshed. So maybe something is going on with the platform. And I don't know what, I have no information on this. So, wow. Because we had cards that were going to keep on going, didn't we?
Yeah.
Didn't we, Josh? All right, guys, show's over. Thanks for joining us. No, I don't know what to make of this, you guys. Really interesting stuff that happened. We're still seeing bids come through over here. So why don't we do this? Let's go to, I'm going to unclick hockey here for a second. And then I'm going to have to unclick favorites and go to all items. And now let's see. We've got just this week's weekly. And I wonder if I can see, we can see what's sold, but can we see what is still active? And I don't know how to sort. Is there a way just to sort for only cards that are still active? I don't know how to do that. Let's search by highest price. So in the whole weekly tonight, the highest price card was $7,200. That seems low to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It seems like something might have gone sideways on the platform. And if so, I wonder if they'll be able to go back. Oh, yeah. Good point, Mitch. Good point. Those are probably for a different week. Well, would this many bids be coming in for next week? Well, let's click on one of these and see what comes up. Oh, now it's saying sold.
Weird.
So, oh, no. It just before I clicked. Oh, let's see here. I wonder if they just maybe turned it back on or something, because that Pokemon card seemed to have woken back up. Let's just do this for a second. Oh, no. It says sold now. Yeah, we're getting a bunch of you guys letting us know. So let's just go to some comments here from you guys. Thank you for all this. Yeah, oops. Chuck Clement, I also think there's something going on with the site. Was watching one that showed sold all of a sudden. T.I. Troy Iverson, Mr. Moneybags, has bought everything on the PWCC platform tonight. Troy, good to see you, buddy. Joe, yeah, very strange. Loud Collector Golden's Hacker strikes again. 10x the hobby, says Cards AH. Good one. CC says something has gone wrong on the site. Seems like everything just ended. Yeah, that seems to be the sentiment right now. What is going on here, though? Something is not adding up. Let's just see unless these notifications are just behind, which could be the case. It's a neat, nice looking Three Stooges card. Look at that, the Fleer logo right there. It's really cool. Awesome. Really cool to see. Yeah. Bids are still coming through. Really weird. I have nothing to say about this, guys. I don't know what to say, but Joe Perot won 3 small items under $25 that might have been legit. So whereas he might have actually been the overall high bidder. This just shaded blue, but no, it says sold. Really interesting. Well, I guess we'll just give it a minute or two here, Josh. We usually our episode is usually over about 10 to 15 minutes from now. Let's see what David says. They are a bunch of things just ended when they. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we're seeing that now, David. Yeah, definitely a glitch in the system is what I think is happening here. Caught on the fly. These are neat, nice looking Metal Universe cards. I've never owned one of these, but I'm not. I can't buy this one tonight because the auction's ended. So not that I would have anyway. But well, I don't know, Josh. What do you think? Do we give it a couple minutes? I have a feeling. I've been covering PWCC auctions for 2.5 years now, and anytime there has been a glitch, it's never fixed the same night. Rather, what happens is items that are impacted by the technical difficulty will be relisted from scratch next week. That's probably what's going to happen now. So, yeah, David says bad news. They're going to have to do this over. Yep, they are. The cards that hadn't ended, I think the ones that sold will probably be done. The sold in the previous extended bidding window will probably be done. Good news, we get to do this show again. Yeah, that means next week's episode will have more cards in it. So if we do just take a quick look, I wish I could turn these things off. Gosh, I wish I could turn these off. Let's go to next week. So I'm going to just switch to the next week and hockey. Oh, missed it. Try to sneak that in as quick as I can so we don't have to go through too many refreshes here. But let's see how many cards there are in next week's hockey auction. 126. So there might be more than that now, because I think they're going to have to add these ones that are impacted to the auction next week. Next week, are we doing a show, Josh? I have to check because no, we're not doing the show next week, you guys. I have a wedding next Sunday night, so there will be no show next Sunday. And actually, there won't be a show the Sunday after that either. I'm going to be in Las Vegas. You can find me at the Wynn, in the poker room, at the 1-3 tables the Sunday after, but we will be doing it the 2 Sundays after that, just as a heads up to everybody. Josh, are you cool with that? I mean, well, you kind of have to be, but just to give you the heads up too. We'll have a couple of weeks off after this one.
I'll just be sitting here staring at a blank screen with my microphone. So,
Jeremy, knock, knock. Where are you? Jeremy?
Like a little sad
All right,
puppy.
guys. Well, listen, I think we should wind down. I don't think we're going to see anything rectified tonight on this, everybody. I'm watching my screen and like this notifications, they're still popping up here. Tense, like what is that? Is it catching up on bids from before? See? Oh, no, this is the next week. This is a next week item. What about this one that just popped up? Also a next week item. So yeah, the bidding has now moved to items from next week. Phil says the hobby just lost to a craps game. Now what do we do? Poker, buddy. Poker, not craps. I don't gamble. I play poker. Actually, I'm going to Vegas with my wife, my father and his wife, and my brother and his wife. We all live in different cities, and now that the pandemic is behind us, we're going to try and do like a once a year trip, the 3 couples. We'll go see a show. We'll have our meals together. You know, my wife and my sister-in-law will probably go do some shopping at the outlet malls, and I'll be at the poker table. I will go to the card shops and drop by those places, the Awesome Shop and Legacy, and check them out. Maybe even drop by the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop and check out the action there. Have you ever been? You've been to Vegas, Josh? I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, many, many times. I've been to Gold and Silver Pawn.
Have you ever been? And has anyone ever been to the Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas? It is. You'd remember this, Josh. It is this humongous like warehouse of a facility, and the guy who owns it, like this is his personal collection, and he's like one of the few guys left who can repair all these machines going back to the beginning of time. And their collection spans like the earliest pinball and arcade machines right through to the most current. It's amazing. If you guys ever go to Vegas and haven't been, has anyone been there? If you have, you know what I'm talking about. You can play these games too. If you haven't, and you like nostalgia, you like pinball and arcade machines, you grew up in the 70s and 80s, you know, oh, Troy Iverson says the Pinball Hall of Fame rocks. So he knows what I'm talking about. Yes, you know it, Troy, isn't it? I haven't been there in years. Probably 15 years ago I went to it. Maybe I'll make a trip back a couple weekends from now. Anything you'd like to talk about, Josh, before we wind up the show?
No, just excited for the season to start. Next time we're on, season will be underway. Maybe Bedard will have 40, 50 goals by then. And
well, we will see. Jake Dahl, I love pinball. Yeah, how can you not love pinball? Troy wants me to stream from the poker tables next week. Troy's Medieval Madness, my favorite pinball game ever. I can't even remember the name of mine. It was based on like car racing or something. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, if you think hockey cards are expensive, pinball machines get very pricey.
Well, and I mean, how many can you really have? You can't just buy a couple every week on the PWCC weekly auction. I mean, transporting them, shipping them, setting them up, maintaining, and then, of course, having a place to store them. Redemption says, what do you guys think about the Bowman Chrome 1-of-1 duplicates and the bounty they set for them? Yeah, that's big news this week. I think that like the whole sheet was printed twice and somehow got out. And I think that what they're doing now is turning it into a marketing opportunity. And they're saying, hey, we're gonna offer these monstrous bounties on them. And I think that the $700,000 that they're allocating to them is going to end up being a drop in the bucket as far as the value they will get back from this marketing program. I mean, that's about it. I've seen people speculate that it was done on purpose. It was all premeditated. And, if that's the case, too bad. And if that's the case, then, I guess we have an indication of what we're in for moving forward with other kind of weird things that might go on. But at least they are paying people to take one of those out of the market, and they're paying them quite handsomely. And what a great way to sell out the product that's left as people go hunting for those things. Any thoughts on it yourself, Josh?
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts on that. I think, in some sort of way, it puts pressure on Upper Deck to where this is not the modus operandi of a typical sports card manufacturer. Usually they try to bury their mistakes and just kind of move it along, I guess. And for them to own it and to go over the top in a way to make it good. So when the next, mistakes are inevitable, they happen, but they're also an opportunity to really build trust and loyalty with your customer base. And I think that that's what Fanatics is doing here. So we'll see if Upper Deck maybe ups their response a little bit on the hockey side. And then just in general, I'm just amazed by this whole Fanatics thing. The thing that has stuck out to me the most is just the whole Michael Rubin impact. Did you see like yesterday where he had Tom Brady at a Tops event? This guy has like a crazy amount of pull with, if you can get Tom Brady to show up to your event, then you're a big deal.
Well, Michael Rubin is a big deal. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, I mean, it was great for publicity and headlines. Really good for publicity and headlines, and to just get the hobby out there in front of people. Because yes, it's Tom Brady, but he was there to promote cards on behalf of, I'm guessing, his good friend Michael Rubin. I have no idea if these guys are buddies, but the one picture I saw where Michael Rubin was kind of had his arm around Tom Brady, they looked really comfortable and happy together. So maybe I have to think we'll see more of that as time goes by. Let's see what you guys in the chat are saying about this. Sign and Slab says Topps doesn't have a link for the Bowman Chrome Superfractor buybacks directly on the site. You have to Google to find it. He goes on to say, in other words, they're not entirely owning it. I don't know. I mean, they put the message out there, David. I think you mentioned that it was on a story, so it disappeared. So that is somewhat interesting. But I'm like, let's see what happens Monday after the weekend. If they add it to the website, they might. I mean, I would have to think that they will. If they don't, then that I'd like to see them add it on Monday when the next business week starts, and that's basically tomorrow. Mitch Grotman says there's an unreal Star Wars pinball machine at my local barcade. It has mini games within the pinball game. If you can hit certain areas, you have to dodge asteroids. I love it. Yeah, I love it. CC asked, is the Beckett event happening the week I'm in Vegas? I don't even know. It might be. If it's nearby. Maybe I'll drop by and say hello, but I'm certainly not going for it. And I, even if it's there, I might not drop by and say hi because I'm going to be there with family. So that's what this trip is all about. Mike loved the old baseball pitch hit pinball machines. CC, the Pinball Machine Museum moved to across from the Luxor. It did. Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you, CC. Well, I'm sure I'd look up the address anyway, but thank you for that. Mitch says, great point. Josh Upper Deck has made some seriously egregious errors and have not owned up to them. Mitch says mistakes that have cost people thousands. The professor says there's one hobbyist sold the Bowman Superfractor the night before. Yeah, that's making its way through social media right now. Redemption says, thanks for the opinion, guys. I'm thinking hanky panky. I mean, I think that's a plausible type of theory on all this, but it's just a theory. And I mean, all plausible means is that it could be the case, but I don't know. I was listening to Rich Klein on Hobby Hotline yesterday, and he was like, guys, trust me, it wasn't done on purpose. That's not how these companies operate, but you just don't know. We don't know. Only they know, I guess. Rowley says, how long does it typically take PSA to register an order once cards are delivered to them? Don't know, Rowley. Sorry. Name says, any Vegas Golden Knights games going on? I don't know that name. Sorry. I have to check my score app. And Jake says, does anyone else remember when you play an arcade pinball game and you got a baseball card for free? I don't remember that, Jake. Oh. Kevin says, Bobby Orr pinball from 1978. Back glass artwork is amazing. That was what I could see myself collecting, Josh, would be back glass, because then you can frame it, put it on a wall. You don't need like square footage for it. You just need wall space. All right. This episode of PWCC Pinball and Arcade is coming to an end.
There we go.
Josh? Oh, I meant when you're there, he says. Oh, I name. Sorry, bud. I don't know. But he says, I meant when you're there. Yeah, I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know name. I still don't know the answer though. And even if there is, I probably won't be going. We're only there from like Thursday to Sunday. We only have 3 evenings. Probably going to spend my time. We'll have dinner with my family, and these dinners, they don't start till 8:30 and they go till midnight, so we'll see. But Josh, you ready to wrap up?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, thank you everybody in the chat. This was a lot of fun. It's fun when we were kind of forced to figure something out and we ended up talking about pinball machines, but this was fun. Thank you, chat. And I wish that we could have seen this auction end in its natural way, but we weren't able to. And I'm sure PWCC will. They've got, I'm sure, processes in place and for procedures as far as how they're going to move forward with these auctions that got ended abruptly tonight. So we'll see what happens. And but yeah, this show will be on hiatus now for the next 2 Sundays. We'll be back the 3rd Sunday from now. And yeah, thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. Thank you, Name. Appreciate it. Josh, thank you as always. Great color, always. We're just I'm enjoying these shows more and more as we move forward. I think this might have been the 30th time we've done the show. We're right around there now, if not 29 or 31. But thanks to you, Josh. I'll let you say goodbye to everybody before I end this.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching. And Gong Show drops 3 a.m.
Gong Show drops 3 a.m. tonight. Thank you, Phil. Raleigh, thank you so much. And with that, everybody, this episode of the PWCC Weekly Hockey Auction Watch Party is now over. And before I hit end stream, that's what the button says. It says end stream. I'm going to say, have a great week ahead, everybody. Thank you.